Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of How I Conquered Cancer and Beyond. Today, I have joining me remotely Jan James. She is an 8-year breast cancer survivor and the founder of Provision Project, where she helps women going through active breast cancer treatment financially. She has also started multiple Facebook support groups where women going through breast cancer can join and learn from other women who have been through this horrible, unwanted journey. Welcome, Jan.
Hi, good morning. Hi, Priya.
So my first question to you, Jan, is tell me a little bit about how old you were when you got diagnosed and about what you felt when you heard those dreaded words, you have cancer.
Oh, it's almost 8 years ago now. I feel like time just marches on, which I'm so grateful for. I think after cancer, you're grateful for every day. And let's see, so I was 52 when I was diagnosed. I just turned 60 in August, which was a big birthday.
Yes.
And I actually, it was interesting. I got diagnosed on January 5th of 2012. However, I had my imaging done in December, and it was the image or the radiologist that did the imaging said to me in a really specific way, "You're not going to have a very good year this next year." And so in essence, he told me that I had cancer, and that was in December. So it was a whole month before I was officially diagnosed, and it was through the holidays, right? So the beauty of that day that he told me about that I wouldn't have a very good year, my husband is not a medical guy, and he mysteriously showed up to the imaging appointment with me. I mean, he took time off of work and just surprised me and showed up, which was crazy. And then I think the really the most memorable thing of that day is Greg and I walked out of the building in Mesa, and we were both teary-eyed looking at each other. And then I so distinctly heard God say, "This will be a journey you'll never trade." And boy, has he made good on that promise. So we'll talk more about that. But it really has been, despite the fact that cancer is never something that you want to hear about, God has been really faithful in getting me through it and also allowing me to turn my life to helping other women.
And that is amazing. So, what kind of cancer were you diagnosed with, and what kind of treatments did you undergo?
So I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma, which is the most common, and I was staged at 2B. I had a tumor in my left breast, and this is kind of a story. I decided to have a single mastectomy because I thought, well, if my original equipment on the other side didn't have a tumor in it, no cancer, that I should leave it, right? Because that's what God gave me. And so I had the left breast taken, and I had an expander put in, which is, if you are interested in seeing my video about what expanders are all about, just go to YouTube and look for expander explosion. So you'll see what I did with my expander once it was out. But so I had that done, and then I started chemo. I had 6 months of chemo and then a year of Herceptin because I was HER2 positive. And then also after that regimen was done, I was put on a hormone blocker. I actually tried 3 different hormone blockers before I got through it. So yeah, but a year and a half after I was diagnosed and after the original surgery, they found a blip in my right breast. So I ended up having the right breast taken because when they found the blip, they wanted to do a diagnostic MRI or, image or not, is it
Mammogram?
No, do you know that test? Have you ever been in that test where they put your breast in the clamp and then and you're on your belly, they put your breast in a clamp and then you go up in the air like you're getting your oil changed?
Oh,
And
no. That doesn't sound too good.
yeah, so they were trying to go in and be able to get a little biopsy. So your breast is in the clamp and they literally put you on a lift and put you up in the air. And
Wow.
because of the place where the blip was, they couldn't get to it. It was too anterior. So my breast was in the clamp for 90 minutes. Which, so if you think about having a mammo and having your breast in a clamp for
I
90,
know.
I
Wow.
eventually said, that's it. Take
Yeah.
the breast, get rid of it. Because
Oh,
I was disgusted with the whole process.
oh my gosh.
I had 2 single mastectomies, right? A year and a half apart. So yeah, anyway, it's always
Not fun.
not so much fun, but that's okay. A journey I'd never trade for sure, right?
Yeah. So did you get did you have implants put in, or did you do the belly fat transfer?
I did do implants, and I don't know how to even say this, but I guess I'm one of the lucky ones that I have chronic capsular contracture. Are you familiar with that?
No.
So, capsular contracture is when your body really is rejecting the implant. And so I am, well, I know that I have it again. I've had 4 capsular contracture surgeries. So what
Oh
happens
my
is your body
gosh.
builds a capsule around the implant because it's like a foreign body. And what
Right.
it does is it starts to clamp down on the implant, and your breast can get misshapen. You definitely feel it. I don't know that I'm one of the ones that didn't really have pain. I could just feel that my body was shifting. And,
Uh-huh.
I remember the first time I went in, my plastic surgeon, because that's a plastic surgeon deal, uh,
Yep.
said, "Oh, you've got, stage 4 capsular contracture." I said, "What is that?" It sounds like I again. And she just explained it, and she said, "That's okay." And all they do is they go in under the breast. They take they open it up again. They pull the implant and the capsule out, and then they put a new implant in. So I keep having new implants put into my body, every surgery. And I just was telling my support group, I'm pretty sure that I'm having it in the left breast again. So this will be number 5. It's not in a place where I would go to even have it seen at this point, but sometime,
Yeah.
probably next year sometime, I'll have to have it replaced. So
Oh
lucky.
my gosh.
It's a very, very simple surgery. It's in and out, that kind of thing. I
Okay.
joked with the doctors that they should put a zipper under my breast.
Right? Just easy access in, out, and you
It's
should be able to do it yourself.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah, Jen, that's just amazing about how much you've already been through, and you still have this smile and you're able to laugh about it. And I just love that. I
Well,
love that about you. And that's exactly how I was when I was going through mine. I was like, hey, I get to try out all these different things, which I would never have, including with my hair. Because I would never have cut my hair this short or gone bald. But you know what? I tried it. It kind of suited me. So I know it's, if I ever wanted to do it again, I'll be okay.
I have to tell you, I loved being bald. Loved it, loved it. It was so easy to get ready. I was
Yeah.
I was ready faster than my husband every time. I think I got a little
Right.
irritating by, na 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 to him and all that kind of thing. Actually really loved it. I when I first after I shaved my head, and you must shave your head, ladies, if your hair
Mhm.
starts to fall out, you just need to take control and shave it and be done with it. And I
Okay.
remember we went to we live in Mesa, Arizona. So in Gilbert, Arizona, there's an art fair, and we went walking, and I think I had a hat on, right? Because I was newly bald, and so I wasn't used to it. And there was a little booth that had those, what do I want to say, those elastic bands with a flower that little girls
Uh-huh.
wear. And so it's
Yeah.
really like a garter, right? It's a garter,
Yes.
and there's a big old flower. And purple is my favorite color. And so I talked to the little craftsman, the lady that made those things. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I need some purple ones for my size." So she made me some. So
Oh.
I wore my wig. I did get a wig, but I got it and I wore it once, and it made me feel fake. And
Oh.
if anybody knows me, I am not a fake person. What you see is what you get. And so I just felt like that didn't make any sense to me. So wearing that headband, it was
Mhm.
funny because people, when you're bald, I don't know if you experience this, Priya, but people do a double take. They go, oh, there's no hair
Yes.
here. And so with the headband, it was funny because if they did a double take and looked at me even a little bit, I would go, "Good morning," and they would go, "Oh, she's talking," and then invariably they would say, "Nice flower," and I'd say,
Yeah.
"Oh, right, purple's my favorite color," and it gave us a reason to start up a conversation. And sometimes
Yeah.
people that had loved ones that had gone through cancer, and boy, I don't know about you, but I met a bunch of girls that, even today, if I see a woman that's bald, I can just go up to her and say, "Hey, I had your hair cut not too long ago,"
Yeah.
that
I
kind
know
of
exactly what you're saying.
thing.
For me, I chose to wear a wig just because I just did not want the sympathy. I didn't want to be felt sorry for, because for me that was my biggest thing. The one thing I told my husband as well was like, don't feel sorry for me. This is my fight, and I know I have to get through this to be able to live my purpose in life. So
Right.
for me, I just wanted it to be normal for my kids as well,
Sure.
and just I just didn't want the sympathy outside. I just wanted everyone to just sing. Everyone said, "Oh, nice haircut." I was like, "Yeah, I love it." And then obviously when I got the wig off and my hair was short, everyone was like, "What happened?" And then by then I was ready to just share it and be like, "Hey, I got through it. Everything's good, and I love my new hairstyle."
Yeah, it is a process, isn't it?
It
That
is.
you get more and more comfortable with where you're at. I remember we went to a movie up in Scottsdale, and I went to the ladies' room, and I was still, I think I probably had peach fuzz, not a little bit
Yeah.
of hair growing back. And boy, was yours very soft when it came in? Super soft,
Yes.
right? It's like
Yes.
down. It's
Like
unbelievable.
babies.
Yeah, like a baby's hair. And I remember this gal that had shoulder length hair approached me in the restroom and said, "I had your hair cut a couple of years ago and I want to show you my hair." And it was such a sweet encouragement.
Yeah.
I never liked, personally, I've never liked long hair, but it was just like she understood. She
Yeah.
really had empathy for what I was going through. And people are very kind, I think,
They
as
are.
going through that. So yeah, I never really, I don't know that empathy as opposed to sympathy. I know exactly what you're saying. You don't want people going, "Oh, poor you."
Yes.
That's not my bag either, but yeah, I understand.
Exactly. Well, that's great, Jen. So, what was one thing or mantra or, a thought that you held onto that got you through all the treatments and this unwanted journey that came your way? What got you through it?
There are two things. That thing about that God had said to me so distinctly, just that voice, "This will be a journey you'd never trade." Very quickly after I was diagnosed, I had 10 girlfriends that had had breast cancer, and I put them and me on a secret Facebook page. And what would you call it? You'd call it Booby Buddies.
Right?
And I did it as a place for me to get my questions answered. And with those trusted girlfriends, and you know what they did? They started to invite newly diagnosed girls. We've had about 2,000 girls go through that page over the 7.5 years now. And it's just been such a blessing to make so many great girlfriends through that process.
Absolutely.
It's a secret page, and so you can't even search for it. There are other pages called Booby Buddies, but it's not the one that we have. So
Mhm.
I know you're going to share information about how people can connect to that. And we are glad to have newly diagnosed or survivors. Everybody's welcome. So that's awesome. But it's a private place. And it's private because we talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, right? I mean, it's a safe
Yeah.
place for us to talk. The other thing
Absolutely.
that, just as you were asking that question, I have a visual in my mind of I wrote a blog during my treatments, and it's of a cork floating in water. And I can't remember where that came from, but I always thought about being a cork. When I was feeling overwhelmed, I thought, just keep floating. It's kind of like Dory, just keep swimming, but it's like I knew that God was keeping me buoyant. And even if the waves were crashing over me, that I knew I would stay afloat with God's help. And so, just keep floating, I guess, is the thing too, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
yeah. So those two things I think were really important to me.
And I agree with you, because for me, I tell a lot of women who reach out to me who just got newly diagnosed, I say, just accept that you have this disease, but also know that you're not the first one to have it, and you will get through it. And we are all there for you.
Right.
Because I feel like if you fight it, I think the journey becomes harder. But if you accept it and you know that some things you have no control over, but the things you do have control over, you are going to do them, then you know what? I think you just have to trust that it will work out. And it always does.
Right.
It's
And
all about mindset.
right. I agree. I just the other day, I created a graphic that I posted on all of our breast cancer pages that says, this is just a season. You have to remember that seasons change. So you may be in a season where, I actually used a graphic where a tree was in winter with no leaves, and then the progression of that. And so that's kind of like hair too, right? No hair and more hair.
Absolutely.
Seasons do change. And so I think you have to remember that for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Jen, my big thing about these interviews is I feel when we're going through our cancer treatments and when we're going through chemo, we have the doctors, we have the nurses, we have all the support, but once it's done and you've got your last chemo treatment, they do a graduation, you get to ring the bell, and the doctor's like, okay, life should be back to normal, we'll see you in 6 months. And I feel that's the point where we're just left alone to figure out life, because life is never going to be normal again. This is going to be a new normal. So let's talk a little bit about, how did you deal with that? Like, now that you are a survivor, how did your life change? What did you do to make sure that, your life does kind of become normal? What is your new normal?
For me, I've really gone through a process of asking the Lord what my calling is. I don't, the concept of a calling is such an interesting thing. But I was just, in fact, it happened this year. I was approaching my 60th birthday, and I thought, well, the Lord didn't take me to heaven, so okay, I'm still here. What am I supposed to be doing with it? And I just wanted to dial in what was supposed to happen for the rest of my life. And it's become really obvious to me. Provision Project is a nonprofit that we started in 2015, and our mission there is to provide financial relief to women who are in active treatment. I think that the biggest or the least discussed side effect of breast cancer is the financial devastation that happens to families. If a woman is the sole breadwinner in her household, and she doesn't do well through treatment and she can't work, say she's a commission salesperson, say she's an hourly worker, literally, if I could, there is a woman, Linda, she's a friend of one of our booby buddies. And in 2015, she was diagnosed with aggressive cancer. She was a social worker. She had a son, an 8-year-old son, who was hard fought for her. She had really been, she couldn't get pregnant, and then she finally had the baby, and he was 8 years old at the time she was diagnosed. And she was right between jobs, and her insurance had lapsed. So she had chemo, and she didn't have insurance to pay for her Neulasta shot. And she went septic, and she died.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. And left that baby, that 8-year-old, without a mom. And her husband had a stroke that day and died a year later. So the son I know from my friend is really thriving, living with her sister. But that just goes to show you, these people fall through the cracks, right? I mean, that doesn't even make sense that would happen, right? Provision Project came out of a need that I learned about. I had excellent Cadillac insurance. I had excellent insurance. For a year worth of treatment, I think we only paid about $8,000 out of pocket, and it was hundreds of thousands of dollars of treatment. And but there was a day when a woman wrote on the Booby Buddies wall, "Will you guys pray for me? I'm supposed to have chemo tomorrow, and I have a $60 copay, but I just got word that they're going to turn our electricity off tomorrow."
Oh my gosh.
Those things do not compute for me. That does not make sense. And there are no organizations that we know, I shouldn't say none, but very, very few organizations that help women bridge that financial gap. We are a very small nonprofit, but we helped 153 families last year.
Wow,
So
that's amazing.
that's awesome, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
our help only goes so far as our bank accounts. So
Yes.
we over, let's see, I think the latest number is 92% of the money that comes in goes directly to the needs of the women that we serve. Of that 8% of overhead, it's mostly credit card fees. So we're looking at ways to have donors take care of that. So we really work hard. We have no staff, we have no office. It's just a few of us that are just trying to get it done. And so we think that there needs to be more of that. There needs to be more very tangible help.
Absolutely.
We got to get food on the table. We got to keep a roof over the head. We got to keep the lights on. We got to put gas in the car so they can get to treatment. And we need people to know about us so that they can help.
Yeah, that is amazing, Jen. I have shivers. That is amazing. So just, talking a little bit about you, what lifestyle changes have you made after your cancer treatments? Like what were you doing before and what are you doing now that is different?
Yeah, I had always fought my weight in my adult life, and I didn't live a very healthy lifestyle. I changed my nutrition about 2.5 years ago, and everything changed for me that way. And so I'm really grateful for that. And I actually work with women to help them do the same thing. Just trying to be more active and that kind of thing. Now at 60 years old, it's a different thing than when I was 40, but it's so important, just being that use it or lose it is a real thing, right? We've got to use our bodies and everything. So yeah, so that's it. Yeah.
That's amazing. So what are any words of advice or wisdom you'd like to give to women watching who are probably starting their journey or who are going through this? What would you like to say to them, Jen?
The very best piece of advice I got very early in my journey was that it is overwhelming. It can be very overwhelming. You're learning a new language. You feel like you're getting fire hosed with information from so many doctors. There's so many doctor's appointments, right? And you just feel super overwhelmed, and you're doing a lot of what if. Oh no, what if it happened? What if this happens? Or the advice I got was to just, according to what you can handle, just think of the next 1, 2, or 3 things that are coming up and let the rest of it go. And as the first thing is taken care of, then add a new thing to your list, right? Just don't get ahead of yourself. There's a lot of time. Yeah, there's a lot of what ifs that can happen, but you have to just trust God and allow yourself to just go day by day. The other thing is, I think as you're recovering, it's a very slow process of what I'm going to say. Like, I'm just going to talk about my energy level. Like, as you're going through treatment, the stress of treatment, if you do chemo or radiation, you kind of decline very slowly. And I would say it's even slower coming back. I can remember after my treatment was over, I couldn't stand to fold the laundry, right? I couldn't even, I had to go take it to the couch and sit down because I didn't have really the energy or the strength to stand up. But the next week I could. So it wasn't the next day. I mean, you're improving so very slowly that you can't maybe see the differences day to day, but you can week to week, I think, pretty much. So just give yourself grace, be kind to yourself. It's okay. Be kind to your body, because your body is really, is sustaining you and is going through the war, and just be kind to yourself.
It's so true what you've said. And I just went through this last year, and after the treatments, and now is when I'm realizing how much my body has gone through, because at the time of the treatments, we're just like, go, go, go. We know we need to get it done. But once you're done and you actually sit and realize and think about what your body has gone through. And now my mind runs much faster than my body can keep up with. But it's okay. I just tell myself it's okay. And it will take time to get back there.
Absolutely.
But it will get there.
Priya, thank you for the work that you're doing for the breast cancer community. It's really beautiful, and appreciate this opportunity to tell my story.
Thank you so much, Jan. Thank you.
Thanks.
There you have it, people. Cancer is not the end of your life. In fact, it can be a second chance to a better life. And thank you so much, Jan, for making a difference with the experience that you've been through. You are truly an amazing person and an inspiration. Thank you, everybody, and have a beautiful day.